the role of all but God as Metatron in the television series Supernatural. In between, he has been consistent in his presence and voice on the silver screen and on our televisions. The man who crowns the king of the nerds, Curtis Armstrong.
We have to do this. Everybody wave or something. Hello. Yeah. Am I on? I'm on now. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm just going to stand here, I think. How are you all? Were you standing outside in the horrible, miserable heat forever? Well, I'm very glad.
We're used to it.
Inside here. Anyway, well, I just want to say thank you. It's been, I have not been here since 1979. Yes, I am that old. I was doing a tour of a Broadway play that came to Phoenix, and that was the last time I was in Phoenix. And I was, however, in one of our neighboring towns, the beautiful town of Tucson, Arizona. Home of, as we all know, University of Arizona. U of A, they call it. Do we have any graduates here at U of A? No? Yeah. Well, I sort of think of it as my alma mater because that was the home in 1984 of the atoms in Revenge of the Nerds. And, I beg your pardon? Lambda. And Omega Moon, yes. I have a deep sort of affection. Not sort of affection, it's an affection. And there are people walking around with Lambda shirts even now. And that's when you know you're a fan, because you're in, it's like 900 degrees and you're wearing those sweaters, which is kind of amazing. Anyway, so that's my history pretty much with Arizona. Obviously, one of the reasons that I've been popping up again, like a bad penny, is that I've written a book. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's going to be published in July 11th, called Revenge of the Nerd, or The Singular Adventures of the Man Who Would Be Booger. And it is a memoir, autobiography, except autobiography is kind of a grand thing. I mean, you don't want to think that it's, 7 Pillars of Wisdom or, one of the big autobiographies. This is an amusing look back at a life lived acting, or frequently not acting, since that's what actors do a lot. They don't act. Which is why we take up hobbies like drinking. But I've been very lucky in my life, starting as a stage actor for many years, and then breaking into movies in Risky Business in 1983 with Tom Cruise. I don't know what happened to him. And following that with Revenge of the Nerds, Better Off Dead, Moonlighting, all that other stuff. Which, by the way, it wasn't a string of unbroken successes. I also did Clan of the Cave Bear at that time. Anyone here seen Clan of the Cave? Oh, come on!
Read the book.
Nobody's seen Clan of the Cave Bear. Really? Rock on. You too? There's a lot of people who've seen Clan of the Cave Bear. Oh my God.
Got a life,
wow, okay. I haven't seen Clan of the Cave Bear. And I would ask ask how I did, except, of course, none of us were identifiable. We all had brow ridges and, long hair and things to make your nose wide. And I mean, we were Neanderthals, for those of you who don't know the book or the movie. So anyway, we did all of that stuff, and that's been great. In the last few years, at least as far as people who are sort of nerds, people who follow sort of nerd people like me, it's been a little bit more with with American Dad, with New Girl, and now with Supernatural. Oh, wait! Are there people here who've seen Supernatural? Amazing! There are people here who've seen Supernatural. Well, as I live and breathe, yes. It was actually almost exactly, fun fact, almost exactly a year ago, certainly this month, if not this weekend, Metatron was killed off. Yes, I know. Yeah, you're saying that, but you don't really think it. It's been interesting watching this evolve. The revulsion to gradual acceptance to genuine mourning that has happened with Metatron over these seasons. To me, this has been one of the most amazing experiences. You've heard this 1,000 times from people on the show. The fandom of Supernatural is unprecedented, certainly in my lifetime, and I've been around fandoms going back longer than anyone who's here, I think. And I'll tell you that fandom, to me, still is just a matter of awe. That people can be that loving, that powerful, that supportive, that much of a community there for themselves and for everyone else, always doing better for people, doing good, all of that stuff. The way that they love that show is not the way most people love their shows. And so for me, it feels like it was a very brief time that I was with the show. It was actually 4 seasons, 15 episodes, that was counting. And only 3 of the cons, the creation cons. And now it's all, sort of in the rear view mirror, except, I still come to these places and I meet fans here, which is really wonderful. And I love it. So, Supernatural has been a big deal for me, as it is for pretty much anyone who's ever involved with it in any way. And I'm sitting next to, down there, damn, what's his name? There's a guy who's on the show, Osric, yeah. Yes, I killed him, actually. But he doesn't, what?
Did you have Gabriel kill him?
I beg your pardon?
Did you tell Gabriel to kill him?
That's what people tell me. I mean, I have trouble with mythology. I get confused. But that's what I understand. But for God's sake, don't make a big deal about it here. Because after sacrificing myself for humankind, I'm kind of hoping for a little, love rather than, you're the worst person ever on that show, which is what I got for years. So anyway, those of you, I talked about the book. Let me just say one more thing about the book. The book is published by St. Martin's Press. And what I'd like to suggest, there's a chapter on Supernatural, there are several chapters on Revenge of the Nerds, all of them, Moonlighting, everything has a chapter at least. And I would like to ask you, if you come by my table, that I've got flyers you can take away to pre-order the book. It's available for pre-order now on all of the usual platforms. And I've got all the information there, and I just want to say, order it, pre-order it, because it's worth reading, and I still have a child in college. So I would like to turn it over to you guys now and see if there are people here who might have any questions or comments, or any rags or bones or.
We're kind of awkward and what. Did you know with Revenge of the Nerds that it was going to be such a big impact and what it was going to mean to a lot of us?
No, not at all. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is we were all way too old to be playing those parts. So we weren't, I mean, I was a fan person. So that was, I got it. But like Bobby, Robert Carradine, we were both 31 when we made that movie. And so it's 31 years old. We're playing high school graduates, which you could get away with in a movie like Revenge of the Nerds. You couldn't do it now. But at the time, there was no internet. There was barely any home video or anything. It was all that stuff was just starting. And it was really all that stuff that made it into a cult phenomenon. And if it weren't for that, then it would have just disappeared like many movies disappear. But obviously we watched over the years as it continued, and we started seeing people coming up to us and talking about how it had been hugely important in their lives and all of this. We just were thrilled and amazed.
Yeah. Well, thank you for showing the brain beats, Ron.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
What was your favorite part and least favorite part about playing Booger?
Okay, favorite part and least favorite part about playing Booger. The favorite part was that Booger was almost non-existent in the script when we got it. He basically did nothing but belch and pick his nose, and in one scene pop a pimple. And when I look at my journal from that time, I talk about it in the book, I realized that what I was doing in that run-up to the filming was trying to cut Booger out of the movie as much as I possibly could. I had just done Risky Business. I was really proud of that. I thought it was a really great, sexy sort of art movie, and I thought it was maybe the beginning of something cool. And then they say, now you're going to play a guy who picks his nose and belches. And I'm going, I'm a trained actor. I'm not going to do that. And so I approached it with great hesitation and dread. I didn't really want to do it. That's the downside. The upside was we were given time to work with the writers on the script. We were given time to improvise on the stage. We were given luxurious opportunities to make the movie better than it really should have been. And that creative, collaborative process that was ongoing throughout Revenge of the Nerds was one of the most exhilarating I ever had, because we were creating something and trying to improve it. And by the time it was over, we were able to see it and say, that's something we can be proud of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
Hi. Okay, so me and my mom are huge fans of Better Off Dead. That's
Yes.
like one of our favorite movies. So my mom wanted me to ask you, did you actually carry around a fetal pig in a jar? Was it real or was it fake?
As a matter of fact, that was an actual fetal pig. I think it was his only appearance on film. I lost track of him after that one movie. There's not a lot of roles for fetal pigs in movies. My recollection of that, which is vague, was that I showed up on the set one day, and this was Savage Steve Holland. This was the way he worked. You would show up on the pig and on the set, and Savage would go, "Oh, you know what I saw in the prop shop? They've got a fetal pig. Give it to Curtis. Give it to Curtis." It's like, if you wind up with a fetal pig, give it to Curtis, because why not? And so right before the cameras rolled, I'm holding a fetal pig which has no explanation. It never appears again. There's no reason why Charles DeMar would have a fetal pig in math class. And so when he starts the initial pen to show the class, when Vince Schiavelli is up there talking, he's coming by and he's coming by me, and I'm tapping on the jar and trying to wake up the pig. But that was just all I could think of to do, was try to wake up the pig. So it's happened.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. It was a real pig, however.
Yes. How's it going, Curtis?
It's going fine. Very nice sweater.
Thank you very much. So, we are huge fans of King of the Nerds.
Yes.
And we were wondering, every show that we watched, how much of the banter between you and Bobby was scripted and how much was just you guys playing off each other?
Much of it was, the banter was all us playing off each other. The main scripted material on the show had to do with rules. I mean, if you follow these reality shows, you understand that, you know, I mean, the one thing that they're obsessed about is rules. Because if you mess up, and you've got two actors up there, and, you know, I mean, they tell you what to say in general, but with those, you have to get them absolutely spot on. And so that was the only actual scripted stuff we had. Anything between us and the nerds, anything between us together, that all just was, you know, that came out of whatever the moment was.
Well, every time you guys did the turn for the reveal, we loved it.
I know. Many people here ever see that King of the Nerds? I'll tell you, Bobby and I created that show after years of sitting around going, we're not working, and all there is reality shows. We said, genius! Let's do one. That's what Bobby said. We were having dinner one night. He said, I'll tell you what, man, that's where the money is. It's in the reality shows. He says, let's start a reality show about Revenge of the Nerds. What could be better? Well, you know, and I mean, it's what you know. And so we did that, and it ran for 3 seasons and would still be running now if it hadn't been for a change at the top at TBS. And the guy who came in didn't want it, so out it went. And we were doing, I mean, it was the best ratings-wise season we'd had. We were just going up. Anyway, that's the way it goes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love it so.
I miss it every day. Yes.
Hi, so I'm a fellow U of A alumni, the Wildcats.
Go Wildcats.
My question is, do you have a funny memory from the set of Revenge of the Nerds, like something that happened?
Well, define funny. The book is full of them. I don't know about the audience here. It was 1984. And in 1984, movie sets tended to be a little, how can I put it, loose with one thing or another, or another, or another. And when you were on location, it was even better, because when you're on location, you are away from, you know, the studio, and you don't have studio executives hanging over you, and that kind of thing. And things got a little near the knuckle a few times. We did party a lot, I would say that. I'm not telling a specific story, but they are in some detail recounted in Revenge of the Nerd. It was, I'll tell you one thing, it was pretty much every night, long days, and sometimes long nights, and we would come back to the hotel, and we just were animals. So, I mean, we just wanted to party. Everybody wanted to party. The interesting thing about the partying was there was a definite separation between nerd parties and jock parties. Which is exactly, I mean, you know, you had Ogre and Gable, you know, all those guys, they would party in one group. And then in the other group, we would have, you know, the nerds would all be partying in our group. There was a little bit of a crossover, like John Goodman, who was the coach, obviously. He would party with us. And so, you know, it would go back and forth a little. Michelle Maybrink, who was one of the nerds in the movie, she would party with the jocks. I mean, it was just the way it fell out. It was great fun, though. And the other part of it was there was another movie, we were at the Hilton, I think, in Tucson. And there was another movie shooting at the same time, which was an action picture called Flashpoint. And it was with Chris Christopherson, and those guys, so it was basically 2 movie sets in the same hotel. And it was anybody's guess, man. You just never knew whose room you were going to wake up in. It was great. Not that I encourage that kind of behavior, which I don't. And I only bring it up to make a point. Stay in school. For example. And next, I want somebody to ask me about my stamp collection. Yes?
I have a question for Supernatural.
Yes.
Who was your favorite person to work with?
That is, did you hear that question?
Yes.
Now, who's my favorite person on Supernatural to work with? Technically, I really can't answer that question because occasionally I still see these people. And so I can't say, well, you know, so-and-so is my favorite. Interesting, the only one I actually hang around with is Mark Shepard. And that's because he now lives in Los Angeles. And of course, you know, he's going to be spending a lot more time in Los Angeles now. All right, I know, it's too soon, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, yeah, I didn't hear that when Metatron died. Anyway, I really like Mark. And we always would hang out and talk rock and roll at conventions when I went to conventions. And of the people that I worked with, it sounds like a cop-out. I genuinely loved all of them, really. All great actors, generous, evolved people, showed up, no ego, showed up ready to work. They were all great. Jensen and I had really intense scenes. Sometimes I tortured him, then he would torture me. It would go back and forth. But Misha is the one that I mainly worked with. I worked with Misha more than anyone else. And after a time, we just had a sense of rhythm. And I think I would say that was probably the best, if for no other reason than there was just more of it. Misha Collins, great guy. That's the answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Over here.
Yes, I wanted to thank you for being a part of Moonlighting, because when I was growing up, at a time when you couldn't watch any show at any time, whenever you wanted, and the TV was a decision point in the household, it was one of the few things I could watch with my parents that we both enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I was curious if you had any stories about a pre-megalomania Bruce Willis.
Well, when I met Bruce the first day, I came in, and at that point, I was, as far as I knew, I was just doing a guest shot on the show, and I went in, and he was there, and he was a little looking a little blue around the edges. He'd had a late night. This was before he got sober, obviously. He got sober during the show, actually. But when I first got there, it was still partying Bruce. And he was looking at me sort of through these bleary eyes. And he said, what are you doing here? And I said, it's a good show, you know. And he said, yeah, but you do movies. He said, if I could do movies, I'd be out of here so fast you couldn't see me. Which was a little look into the future. But in those days, very easygoing. Here's the thing about Moonlighting. You got a lot of stories about all of the tension, and they are legion, and many of them are true. The conflict between various people and so on. In fact, dealing with people, as long as you kept in mind what you were going to get and what you were not going to get, I got on fine with everybody. As long as I didn't expect Bruce or Sybil to do my off-camera, I was cool. Which is in movie business, obviously, if you do a scene with somebody, then, that when you come in for the close-up, the person you're acting with will be behind the camera feeding lines, right? It's considered a courtesy. Not Bruce and Sybil. You were on your own. Once you did their close-up, which you were expected to do, the cameras would come around and they would be halfway to Malibu, so that kind of thing. But as long as you took it as an article of faith, that was the way things were, you got out of it, no problem. It was very sad. It was a great role, Herbert Viola. I loved working on the show. Those people were amazing actors. We had the best writers in Hollywood, I think, at the time. But it ended badly for everybody. And it took a couple of years to sort of get out of that. But, yeah, great show, though. Thank you. Yes?
Right, out of all the different shows and movies you've been a part of, what pranks or what have people done to make you part of the group?
You mean accept me into the...
Yeah, accept you into the regular crew. Because I know in Supernatural they did a lot of pranks to each other.
Oh, pranking?
But
you mean pranking?
Yeah.
Are you asking specifically about pranking?
Kind of both.
Okay. Well, there are two sides to that question. Supernatural was a show where I felt very welcomed. But when you're working in town on a show like that, the work is very hard and long, and sometimes extremely exhausting, physically and emotionally exhausting. I mean, everybody looks at it and they say, well, it's Supernatural, how exhausting can that be? The truth is, it gets pretty it's long days. You get to Friday and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're wiped out. But they were never not there for you. Those people always were there for you. Every time you had to be on screen, it didn't matter how late it was, didn't matter how tired everybody was. Jared, Jensen, Misha, I never worked with Mark, but Jared, Jensen, and Misha were always there for you. Having said that, the question about the pranking, which I've been asked now for years about, because they're legendary for pranking guest stars. They never pranked me, ever. And
was that a blessing or a curse?
It started to be a blessing, and after a while, it started to creep me out. Because I would even get, like at the end of a season, I would get the Blu-ray or DVD, whatever it is, and they have the little funny disc on it with all the blooper reel. We would do the blooper reel, and you would see all of this stuff, and you would read stories about people who'd been pranked by Jared and Jensen. And after a while, I'm going, why didn't they ever prank me? I was there. I was worthy of being pranked. I showed up with my lines learned. What's my problem? And I never said anything about it. But after a while, I started getting a little nervous about it and thinking they just hate me. Because if pranking is an expression of affection, I'm not getting any damn affection. And so finally, I was at a convention with them, and it was the one that I did overseas. It was one of the rogue ones in London, or in Birmingham. And I was standing we were all in the back room area, and they had a complete bar set up. It was really awesome. So we were having a drink, and I finally turned to Jensen, and I said, okay, what's the story? I said, people keep asking me why you haven't pranked me. Why haven't you pranked me? There's got to be a reason. Tell me now. Tell me now. And Jensen did this. He went, amen. and walked away. And I just thought, what the hell is happening? I mean, as a gesture, it was a weird, what is this? Like it answers anything. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized what that meant. At least this is how I'm interpreting it. And since they didn't give me the pleasure of a prank, I'm going to tell you that this is what he meant by that. What he meant by that was, you have stripes. He said, it's like a military thing. You respect your officers, and you don't mess with them. That's why. That's why I think that. But that's the reason. Why not? That's my story anyway.
Chicken
Should have kept that in the book. Yes.
Your voice work as Dan versus, where would you have liked to have seen him continue? If they would have continued the show like I would have liked.
Well, it sounds like you have an idea where he should have gone.
I was pretty disappointed when the channel decided to change and it was no longer there.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was one of those weird things, Dan versus. Does anyone, anybody know Dan versus here? Yeah, a few people. Not a lot of people saw it because it was on a network called The Hub, which was mainly children's television, animation stuff. It was mainly that. And so, but then there was this outlier show called Dan versus, I played a character, Dan, who was the angriest little man in the world. He had it in for everything. He hated everything. He hated baseball. He hated New Mexico. He hated fancy restaurants. He hated fast food restaurants. He hated everything. The guy was nuts. And he had a friend who was a very nice guy who was always digging him out of these problems. And his wife, who turns out was a secret agent, which no one knew about. It was an odd, strange, really clever show. And didn't belong on The Hub at all. It just didn't fit in. But instead of canceling it, what happened was The Hub, as a network, collapsed. So we had the honor of losing Dan versus after 4 seasons or 3 seasons. I can't remember how many.
3, probably.
3, I think. Then we lost the show, but not because they canceled us, like King of the Nerds. It was because...
It went to Discovery's Family.
It went what?
The Hub changed back to Discovery Family.
Yeah, but I mean, our platform was gone, and we were never able to get it picked up anywhere. There was a brief shining moment where Seth Green, we went in and met with Seth, because Seth he's got his stupid buddies, and he was a fan of the show. So he said, well, come in and let's talk about maybe putting it up somewhere else. And as is usually the case, you talk about it and it never goes anywhere. And that's, so Dan is gone. I don't know, I could have gone on forever with it. I loved it, loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes?
Okay, so I'm sure you get this question a lot, but what was your favorite episode to do Supernatural?
Of Supernatural? I'm afraid that's pretty easy. I really loved Metafiction for obvious reasons because it was my show. I got to be on camera all the time and do sort of pseudo-English accents and talk to the camera. It was awesome. I loved it. That was one. And then another one was, and this is my problem is I don't remember titles, but it was the one where I killed Dean. That was awesome. I actually got to kill one of the boys. And oh God, people hated me so much. And what's funny is they hated me for killing Dean, right? And then in the episode, sorry if this is a spoiler alert, it was like 3 years ago, but in the show, Crowley comes in and revives him, so he's not dead. He doesn't even stay dead in one episode. And Crowley revives him and turns him into a demon. And then he goes for like a season being this horrible demon. And the fans are going crazy because they can't decide whether he's more attractive as a demon or whether the way they do. And meanwhile, they're all going, "You killed Dean, damn you!" And I'm saying, it was for 3 seconds. He was dead for 3 seconds. Blame Crowley. Oh no, we love Demon. Demon Dean is great. It was one of those areas where you cannot win on Supernatural when you're a bad guy. You just can't win. I mean, you know, Felicia Day, great character. Boom. You know, I mean, we're all doomed in the end. But thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, and then the other one, excuse me for stopping. The other one, which was my favorite, was called Don't Call Me Shirley. And that was the one, the penultimate one before they killed me off. And it was mainly Rob Benedict and me in a bar. I mean, just think, this is what's so great about that show. This, for people who don't know, this was a character who was deeply despised by everyone because he was truly evil and horrible and a nasty person, right? And he then, through this arc, reaches a point where he's at the bottom. He's got nothing left. He is hopeless. And he then winds up in a bar with God. This is like a one-act play, this thing was. He winds up, Rob Benedict and me, in a bar, and I realize that God is going to abandon humankind to his insane sister who's going to destroy them. And I realize that it's up to me to fight for the future of humanity to a God who wants to abandon them. That's big stuff, you know? I mean, it was a big, big, deep scene, I mean, episode for Rob and me both. And that was one of the best experiences I've had on stage, screen, or television. It doesn't matter what it was. Incredibly fulfilling and lovely. Really great.
Thank you.
That's my favorite. Yes.
While playing Booger on Revenge of the Nerds, what was your favorite line?
Oh, you know, favorite line? They're not exact. Well, all right, I heard that. They're not exactly Noel Coward, these lines, you know? It's hard to say, well, what's the wittiest thing Booger ever said? It's like his mother's douchebag back in Ohio. You know, it's like, they're not lines that actually, you know, say much, except about what, let's see, I just saw it. What would be my favorite line? Jesus, I can't remember. I mean, it's hard for me to take something out of context that way. I mean, there are famous lines. We've got Bush, blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of famous lines, but I'm not sure there are any, you know, pick one. You know, I mean, it's the overall when it comes to Booger that's more important, I think, than any given line.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
My question has to do with an appearance that you made in a TV sitcom a few years back.
I didn't. It was Gilbert Gottfried.
That's okay. The sitcom I'm referring to was Rules of Engagement.
Oh, yes.
For season 5 or season 6.
Yeah.
And how did that all come about? Was that something that you requested to be on that show, or did they reach out to you?
They reached out to me. I was playing myself. I was playing Curtis Armstrong on the show. And I showed up as me in the show, and one of the guys on the show has got a sort of man crush on me.
Yes.
Which happens a lot. So we had scenes, you know, about his thing about Curtis Armstrong. And it was something that they called up about. They just called up and said, we would like Curtis to be on the show. I'd never worked with David. I'd never worked with anybody on the show before. and he just said, would Curtis think about coming on and playing himself? And I talked to the executive producer, and I said, and he told me what the story was. And I said, sounds funny to me. So I went in and did it. It was great.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
You bet.
Yes?
Yeah, I graduated from U of A in '87 and...
Go Wildcats!
Wildcats.
I just say that anytime someone says U of A.
High point of my freshman year was watching you guys film Revenge of the Nerds.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't look that old.
Thank you. Good to you.
That was the right thing to say.
Anyway, my question is, when I was at U of A, there was a lot of rumors going around that the college was trying to distance itself from the movie after the movie came out.
Well, and for good reason. What happened with the U of A was there was a guy, fun fact, his name was Dudley, who was the president of the university at the time. And they named Dudley Booger Dawson, for him, because he made a real pain of himself. Because you go through these things. They're on a campus, and it's a working campus with impressionable young minds. And these Hollywood people come in, and well, the Gord of Blimey, anything is up. And so they said we need to improve the script. They wanted to improve the script. So they wrote a special script just for Dudley, which was, it made it look like, Leave It to Beaver. That was a bad choice. Hey, what I did. I should have said, father knows best. Dating myself now. So, anyway, they did that. They made up one which had, none of the sex, and you would put in stuff that was not, not in the, I can't even think of an example, but they would, instead of saying we've got Bush, it would be we've got something, book, I don't know, it's a university. So they would put in all that stuff, and then he went through it and said, well, it's not very funny, but okay, fine. And so we did it. And then, of course, they got word that we were shooting all of this, nudity, which was not indicated in the script, and there were some problems as a result of that. But now, other story about that was there was a remake of Revenge of the Nerds done a few years ago, and it was done in North Carolina, I think, at some university there. The same thing happened. It was Duke University. It was at Duke University, wherever that is. And it was right after the scandal about the lacrosse players. So Duke University was very leery about having something like this on their campus. And they gave them a dummy script, just like we had done. But they found out in the middle, and apparently the remake was much worse than ours. Much worse. I mean, really bad. And they wound up they pulled the plug on the movie, and it was never finished. Oh. It's out there in some unfinished form. Yes?
Hello, Curtis.
Hi.
Speaking about Revenge of the Nerds, I don't have more of a question, but I was wondering if I could make a request for a reenactment of my favorite scene, the burp scene.
Not really. I can't there's a reason. Not really. No, by the way. Come on, guys. I have to be up until 5 going. I can't be. No, the reason I can't do the burping scene is because, and I'm telling you this here, and this is true, and the next time you see the burping scene, see if you can get this image out of your head, because you won't. This is what the actual burping scene was. When they went in to edit the film, when I did it, of course, I was not belching. When I did it, I was literally doing this. They would yell, action, and I would go, and then they would use whatever they wanted to and lay in the burp later, was the idea. Okay? That was the idea. So they get into the editing and they realize they're getting, like guys down, the Teamsters down, are downstairs, they're going, there's got to be somebody who can belch long enough to make this work. And they were bringing guys up, they go, that's not enough. So they're bringing in people over, stunt belchers. They were bringing in these are voice work people who come in and belch for a living. And, not for a living, but it's for a living. And they can't find anybody to do a proper belch. And so they wind up finding the longest recorded belch that they could find. But they had to lay in something over it to make it richer, to give it that special something that was missing from this male belch. And what they landed on was a field recording of a camel having an orgasm. It was actually a recorded camel in the process of mating with another camel. And in the moment, out comes this extraordinary sound, and they went, "That's it! We found our booger!" That's the story.
Hello. I have a question pertaining to your voiceover work on American Dad.
Yeah.
The episode, independent movie, where Steve, that's good. Yeah, where Steve helps Snot try to reconnect with his father when he's passed away. I just wanted to know, was that based on an actual independent movie?
It was based on, I should have done my homework. It was based on something. It wasn't so much a movie, a specific film. They based it on a director who is currently very popular, hence my not knowing his name. I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, but they had been planning an episode for a couple of seasons at least, trying to find a way that they could do the animation in a way that was not like our normal animation, but would give the impression of a film, where there's the truck driver and Steve in the car, and they're just driving along, and long pauses where there's no conversation. I mean, to me, I loved it, and I loved the fact that it was Snot's funeral, his dad's funeral, that they were going to. And I also love the fact that at the time I'd been doing New Girl for some time, and I came in to do an episode of New Girl, and I'm talking to Zoe, and I say, "So what have you been up to?" And she said, "I just did an American Dad." And I said, "Really? What was it called?" And she said, "Independent movie." And I said, "I did that too!" She was wonderful in it as the mad pixie dream girl, or whatever they call her. So that was my favorite one of all, although I always loved doing the show.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
I was wondering if there was a role that you ever wanted to play that you didn't get to play.
Richard III.
Good answer.
I mean, why not? Right. It's not like by saying that, someone's going to go, "God, you make a brilliant Richard." It's the fantasy thing of wanting to be, returning to the stage, which I miss, and to go back and do something that would be, I've had my eye on that role since college. So that would be my answer.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yes?
Hello, I just wanted to say first off that I absolutely love your work as Dan on Dan Versus.
Thank you.
I think it is a hilarious and very underrated show.
I agree.
So I even have the season 1 DVD with me today.
Let's watch one! No, we can't.
So my question for you is actually more pertaining to Dan Versus. Was there any sort of like stories while doing voice acting or meeting with the crew or writers that were really funny or really entertaining, or any sort of things that like you wish would be on the show, especially considering it was on the Hub at the time, but You know,
Oh,
you couldn't
well, the main
obviously get
thing,
away with.
yeah, the main thing, it wasn't stories so much. We were able to do pretty much any story we wanted. It was how it was done. And so a lot of the violence, which seems natural in something where somebody's getting hit by an ambulance, you just can't do.
Dying from too much.
Yeah, you can't, there's a lot of stuff you can't do. And language was another one. I mean, there was a lot of, can you imagine Dan on Fox? You know, where he would have had pretty much anything, or TBS.
Adult Swim.
Yeah, so those kinds of things. But it's kind of like the Hayes Office in the 30s with movies, where there was so much that you weren't allowed to do because the Hayes Office would come down on you, and you found other ways of doing the same thing, and it would frequently be dirtier. That was the great thing about the Hayes Office, is they had to come up with ways of not saying something, and by doing that, they did something much worse. That sometimes happened with Dan Versus.
Could I also get you to yell New Mexico real quick?
New Mexico?
Yeah.
New Mexico! Hey, speaking of which, this man's shirt is from Dan Versus.
Yes, it is.
Wow. Hi.
What's up? Hello, Curtis.
Hi.
This is actually going along the lines of what Dan Versus, but I was just curious. We live in an age full of reboots and crossovers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Somehow, if Dan were to somehow come back, because there's still a lot of mystery regarding him, would you come back to do it? Some way, somehow, they're saying, hey, you want to come back to your Dan?
Well, we tried. I told you we tried. I would have done it.
I'm sorry, I was outside. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. We tried to get it going with Seth Green because he was a fan of the show, but it didn't go. And at this point, it's not going to. It's dead. But if they had come back with something that we could actually have done, I would have done it in a heartbeat. And Paget Brewster and Dave Foley would come back too. We loved doing that show.
Yeah, Dan Versus is a great show. It's kind of underrated too. It's kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I can imagine that was on Cartoon Network, a regular show. That would be great.
That's your life, You're underrated. Yes.
Since this is a Comic-Con and all the new Marvel and DC superhero movies, is there any superhero or villain you would like to play?
I briefly played the Joker once. Not many people know that. But if you Google OnStar Joker, they did years and years ago. They did a series of very expensive commercials for OnStar about Batman, and I played the Joker in them.
Was it live action or was that just...
Live action. Oh, live action, yeah. It was quite something. The whole series of it was really good. And that was as close as I'll ever come to playing one, probably. But not really. There's not one that jumps out at me. I just want to see Wonder Woman so much I can't stand it. Really want to see that movie. Thank you. Yes, I know, this is the last one.
First again, thanks for coming to Phoenix. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
What was it like working with John Cusack? Any stories, any...
Well, I can't go into, again, a lot of stories because they're making me go away now, but the Cusack, it was, to me, one of those people who I just adored working with him. We got on so well. And at the end of Better Off Dead, he was not very happy, ultimately, in the second movie, because he didn't like the way Better Off Dead turned out for some reason. And so it made for some awkward periods during One Crazy Summer, but never with me. He was always really smart and really engaged and incredibly talented, and could just come up with something on a dime. He's such a good comic actor, good dramatic actor too. But no, there's some things. I go into some detail in the book about Better Off Dead and what happened when we got to One Crazy Summer. It was a little bit difficult. Oh, my shirt. Thank you for asking. Says Clone Club because the greatest show on television right now is Orphan Black, as far as I'm concerned. And I love it dearly. And that, of course, except for any shows that I'm on. When I say that, I mean, of course, not as good as that. Well, anyway, listen, everybody, this was really, 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 really great, and thank you so much